Return to Carndoom has been one wild ride. I've been digging into Sagroth Tier 3, and man, that last boss can either be super easy if you kite, or it can be real hard if you honestly try to follow all the mechanics. I'm still finalizing the ultimate strategy for that, and so today we're going to look at the top 8 deadliest mobs that you will encounter in Sagroth. If you hang around till the end, I'll reveal to you my secret kill order that I've been using and is fail-proof when speeding through this instance. But first, why in the world is everyone wanting to run Sagroth? Ta-da! Here you go. Here is the Sagroth loot table, thanks to refrigerators for putting this together. Now, don't let this overwhelm you. He actually provides a key to each item in the top left corner. If you're an endgame raider and you already have all your hidden horde gear, congrats. The gear here is a waste of your time. You'll run this mostly for the chance at a gold class item, enhancement runes, lively essences, and a teeny tiny percentage at getting a portent. Oh, and let's not forget the new ingredients for the luxurious food recipes. Yum. If you don't have hidden horde gear, then this instance will be a treasury filled with amazing loot. So enjoy. The class-specific items are truly remarkable upgrades. But sorry, champs, guardians, and bears, you guys don't deserve class-specific items. Cry. I was so sad when I learned this that I was like, why am I doing this on my guard? Oh yes, I have to help my friends get these items so that we can go take down Hero Merle on tier 4. Break ranks. Alright, so you get the idea. New shiny loot for some. Yay! But more likely a way to farm embers. Woohoo! Now, if only we can get the tier 4 clear so we can actually spend those embers on something useful and not just lively essences. Okay, I digress. Let's get to my top 8 deadliest mobs in Sagroth. Well, okay, there are actually 9 total different mobs, but who's going to count the one single dark water that appears in the first boss fight? He only makes one appearance and does it slow. Whoop-de-doo, I'm so afraid. In at number 8, we have soldiers. Guess what they do? Nothing. That's right. They're just soldiers helplessly following the commands to attack with no skills, mechanics, and no real damage. They are more a nuisance than anything else and can be completely ignored if you want to. Warriors are only slightly, and I mean slightly, more dangerous than soldiers at number 7. Simply because they have a corruption on them. The invigorated corruption starts out at rank 10, where it allows the warrior to do 25% more melee damage. At rank 5, that drops down to 15% melee damage. Fortunately, this does not affect the amount of damage that a warrior takes. On tier 3, we found that the quickest way past the warriors is to straight out kill them and not worry about removing corruptions. However, if your group is struggling to get past them, you may want to consider removing those corruptions first. Coming in at number 6 are skirmishes. They will randomly drop fire damage puddles. On tier 3, the puddles only tickle a little bit if your mitigations are high enough. With mitigations lower than 700,000, they will hurt a lot, so stay out of them. This puddle does 23,000 fire damage every 3 seconds while you stand in the puddle. With high enough mitigations, the tanks can ignore these puddles on tier 3, but medium and light armor classes want to be careful when moving through them. Stand in them too long and you'll be roasted. The Barghest is only marginally more dangerous than skirmishers, earning them the number 5 spot. Barghest can cause a lot of damage if you don't cure the wound, so the tank needs to pay close attention to their own health bar and cure any wounds that these beasties put up on them. The Barghest has 2 bites. First, the Barghest bite, Morale, will do 100,000 common damage every 2 seconds. That is 500,000 morale if you don't pot that wound. Most tanks, though, will have close to 2 million morale, so this is 25% of your health, which is still a chunk, but is survivable and can be healed through. The second is Barghest Bite, Power, which will drain 45,000 power every 2 seconds for 10 seconds. Since we're all coming into these raids with low power pools and regen, it means that this can actually be deadly. This is one reason to take an LM with you to serve as your battery. LMs should pay careful attention to their fellowship power situation whenever a Barghest is in the group. Now we are starting to move into the more dangerous mobs. Coming in at number 4 is the Sorcerer. They do 2 yellow bar induction skills that can be interrupted. If the Sorcerer gets the unstable sorcery damage induction skill off, it means that mobs standing around it will do 25% more damage. Similarly, unstable sorcery healing will heal up any mobs next to the sorcerer to full. As long as the sorcerer is live, then they should either be mezzed or the inductions need to be interrupted. But wait, there is a trick here. If the sorcerer is defeated, then their most recent benefit will transfer from their allies to your fellowship. You can totally steal the damage buff from the sorcerer's allies, but a couple of things to note to make this possible. First, you can steal only the most recent sorcerer buff, so either damage or morale. This means you must wait until at least one induction has gone off from the sorcerer before killing it, interrupting it, or CCing it. 2. The buff is only applied to anyone standing near the sorcerer when they die. The sorcerers are ranged and typically do not want to move, so your tank will have to break line of sight to get the sorcerer to move into range. Alternatively, you can mezz the sorcerer, wait to kill it last, and then use that buff to kill the next mobs. Or you can all pile on top of the sorcerer at the beginning of the mob wave and kill it so you get the bonus. Your strategy here will largely depend on your group's abilities and comfort levels with executing these maneuvers. The tiny vermin are the cutest creatures in this instance, but don't let their looks deceive you. They are the third deadliest. To be fair, they are cute when they are by themselves, but when surrounded with other mobs, can be a source of great misery. The vermin have a yellow bar induction called Spread Plague. When it goes off, they will drop a puddle right underneath them. The first thing the puddle does is subtracts 35% of your morale every 3 seconds for as long as you're standing in the puddle. Thus, if you're in the infectious puddle for 9 seconds, you die. Thus, get out of those puddles ASAP. But of course, it's not that easy. The puddle will also slow your run speed, attack duration, and skill inductions each by 25%. So get out of them puddles quick. To keep things interesting, the vermin move faster than players because of the Praise Instinct buff that they have on them that is a corruption. You can remove the corruption to slow them down, and on tier 3 the vermin can have a stack of 2 of these at the same time, meaning effectively that they move 50% faster than players. On top of that, the vermin will randomly target someone in the fellowship to fixate on for 30 seconds before seeking out another target and running to them. This means that if you're standing in the vicinity of a vermin, that you are a likely target. Vermin are part of the last boss fight in this instance, and the same mechanics apply to them in that part of the fight. What seems to work well is to have the alum root the vermin as soon as they spawn, then have the tank pick them up. That way, the DPS can just AoE the vermin to death. However, there will be vermin running around loose, so players must have situational awareness to get out of the vermin's puddles. When the vermin are inducting with their yellow bar, you will have 2 to 3 seconds to move away from them before that puddle drops on top of you. So situational awareness of these inductions becomes very important, especially on the last boss fight. I'm so excited that they decided to bring back the slugs. It brings back fond memories of running through the tunnels in Carndoom, much like we're doing here in Sagroth. However, these are no ordinary slugs that just slow you down. Nope. They are way more deadlier than that, which earns them the spot of second deadliest monster in here. They have a couple of things they do, so let's take a look. Vicious Slime is a corruption that the slug gets that can stack up to 3 on the slug. This will reduce the damage that the slug is taking. At 3 stacks, the slug pretty much becomes invincible and won't die unless the corruptions are removed. Thus, to kill the slug, remove the corruptions and fire away. The slug does a gray bar induction called Frenzy that will result in a 360-degree knockback to anyone standing in range of the slug skill. This can be interrupted by a daze like Bane Flare from an LM and other dazes. Since there is a green deadly river on one side of the platforms, you need to position yourself with your back against a wall in case of a knockback. If you land in the green river, you will die instantly. Frenzy will also increase the slug's outgoing damage by 1.3 for 25 seconds. So it's important to control Frenzy as much as possible to help keep the fight stabilized. The slugs put a poison onto the tank only that will reduce the tank's incoming healing by 50%. This means that besides making sure that all the ads are picked up, The tank has to focus on pumping out self-heals while the slugs are alive to counter having little incoming healing from the group healers. Slugs will drop a slime puddle that slows your run speed by 75%, reminiscent of the slugs in the old Karn Doom instance. Ah, those were the days. Yes, slugs are a nuisance with all these mechanics, but sapping poison is what makes them absolutely deadly. This poison can do upwards of 420,000 DPS every 3 seconds for 15 seconds, meaning that it can eat away at 75% of the tank's morale pool if they are close to 2 million morale. This is very dangerous because if the tank goes down, then the entire group will wipe. So let's summarize what the slugs do. First, it halves the tank's incoming healing. Then it slows the tank down so that they can't run away. Then it knocks you back into the river if you're not ready or with your back against the wall. So it effectively traps you and then kills you within 15 seconds if it isn't killed first. Rather deadly, don't you think? While slugs focus on one target, the tank, the sickle flies will wipe out the entire party if you're not careful. This is exactly why they are considered the deadliest in this instance. Let's take a look at their skills. The sickle fly will add a debuff to the tank that reduces its ability to block, parry, and evade by 20%, meaning that when the sickle fly is ready to strike, it's going to hit the tank like a ton of bricks. The sickle fly has a yellow bar induction called Infection that can and must be interrupted. It will put a yellow eye over a player's head, marking them to be infected. The player must run away with this yellow eye out of group. If the eye isn't dropped out of group, then the infection will spread to anyone who is standing near the person with the eye. Infection does 270,000 damage every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. This disease cannot be removed. That's a total of 1,350,000 morale that the healers need to heal through for anyone that gets that infection. This is absolutely deadly and can take out an entire party. Thus, either Sickle flies, interrupt its induction, or get yellow eye out of the group. As soon as an infection is done, the sickle fly will toss up sickly presence onto anyone standing near it. This also does 270,000 damage every 3 seconds and cannot be removed. Plus, you will also get greater diseased frailty that will reduce everyone's vitality by 10,000. So let's recap. If infection induction goes off, everyone in your party could take 540,000 damage every 3 seconds. This is insane, considering that most players only have around 900,000 morale. So in 6 seconds, you could be dead. And there's nothing you can do to prevent that once it has gone off. This is what makes the sickle fly the deadliest creature in this instance, and the healer will have a heck of a time keeping the party alive. This is also what makes this first boss in Sagroth the most difficult to overcome. Thus, to minimize deaths, the sickle flies must be killed first. If you come across 2 of them at the same time, then CC one and kill the other, and then kill the CC'd one. This way you can ensure the survivability of your group. Oh, and then just to rub some more salt in the wound, the sickle fly will also apply a random light wound that does 77,000 damage every 3 seconds for 15 seconds. Yes, it's not that bad, but on top of everything else that the sickle fly does, can be disastrous. This cannot be interrupted and is completely random. This then brings us to what the optimal kill order should be. Now, keep in mind, you won't get all of these mobs at the same time, but here is the kill order that I use. First, sickle flies. If 2 of them, mez one, kill the other. Interrupt infection, and everyone but the tank needs to stay away from the sickle flies. 2. Slug dies second because it can trap and kill the tank in 9 seconds. Only less deadly than the fly because it focuses on one player. But if the tank goes down, the party will die. Daze the slug for frenzy, stay out of puddles, and keep backs to the wall. Little Vermin is third because they do the 35% morale damage every 3 seconds while you're in their puddles. Root the Vermin, do group interrupts when the yellow bar, and AoE them down quickly, and please stay out of the puddles. Sorcerer is fourth. Allow one skill to go off so you can get the buffs before killing it. 5. Barghest can drain power, but if you have an LM with you, this can easily be overcome. 6 is Skirmishers. They drop fire puddles. Just stay out of them. 7. Warriors. 8. Soldiers. They're last to die. They really don't do anything. They just tickle. In the next video, I will be walking you through the first boss fight in Sagroth, Garvaduck, so stay tuned to see how you can kill him on tier 3.